Hey everybody, welcome to this Nerds of UVM special episode. You'll notice that the table is laid out differently. We have some different guests. This is because we're kind of talking about a serious topic that's going on in modern day media and Hollywood. So to give a fair warning to everybody, a trigger warning as it was, we are going to be talking about some pretty sensitive subjects. We're going to be talking about serious themes when it comes to the treatment of women and abuse of power. If you have any trauma with that or anything like that, and you don't want to listen to this topic, we respectfully urge that you turn this off right now and maybe seek out other options of discussing it if you would like. Frederick will put in the information down below and possibly on the screen if possible a couple numbers, national, Vermont, central, that you can reach out to if you're having any issues of any kind, whether it be mental health or if you're a recovering victim of any sort. We do want to offer you the opportunity to seek out that help. But if you are going to stick around, we want to thank you for staying around for this discussion. And I'm just going to start off by introducing my other panelists. Many of you may be familiar with Luke.
How's it going, everybody?
The Nerds UVM regular. Many of you might have seen Rachel before.
Hey.
She is a mainstay over at UVMtv, and then we've also got, she's also the treasurer of UVMtv, and then we've also got our station manager, Maddie.
Hello.
So first I want to thank all of you for stopping by for this episode. Heavy stuff that we're talking about. But I think it's important that, you know, we as the next generation that are taking on the world and taking responsibility of the world, and presumably some of us will go into the entertainment industry in one way or another. I think it's important that we sort of discuss these issues in a really honest way, as respectfully as we possibly can, although I'm not going to keep anybody from getting their emotions out if they need to. This all started primarily with Harvey Weinstein, which I think is where I want to sort of start off the conversation. I never knew of Harvey Weinstein before I didn't know this guy's face. I didn't know really what he do. I remember the Weinstein Company from a couple movies that I would watch every now and then, but never associated it with anything. What I found particularly gross about all this is that it had continued for about 20 plus years, this sort of treatment. For a number of women, it seemed, as a number of major actresses in Hollywood, not the least of Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow. That's sort of the gist. He's been abusing women in one way or another, or at least harassing women in one way or another sexually throughout these past 20 years, and he always had his power of Hollywood to fall back on. That's the gist of it. I guess what I would sort of like to start the conversation off with is asking the other panelists, like, their thoughts about everything that was happening when all this information was coming out, when more and more women were coming forward, and sort of how this snowball effect has just started, not only in Hollywood, but in the entertainment medium in general, because the news media has had a lot of instances that people have come up and spoken out recently. Alongside the video game industry, it's a little bit more minor because it's a smaller community, but there are people who are feeling more confident to speak out now about their abuses that they've faced. So I guess I just want to ask my panelists thoughts on the past, I guess, month or so, maybe 2 months it's been now. And whoever takes it away, takes it away.
I think something I found interesting about the Harvey Weinstein situation is, as Luke would know, we read this paper about feminist film theory for one of our film classes, and there's a whole section of that talks about how the Weinstein Company was the best place to go for women in Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah, because we
had read this like just as the whole Weinstein thing was like developing too.
And it was written a long time ago, but it was talking about how they would take women from independent film festivals and give them the opportunity to direct higher budget movies and give their independent films more ground. So it's kind of weird that this, like, what was considered the best place for women, the most equal rights for female filmmakers, actually ended up being like one of the worst places they could have went.
Yeah, I thought, I kind of skimmed over that too in the original reading, and then you're like, yeah, you remember like in the reading they like talked about the Weinstein Company. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It was just like, like you said, it's just like terrifying that that's the case. And I think what the most disgusting part is when like we first heard about the Weinstein thing, like, I personally didn't think much about it. I was just like, oh, it's like another one. Because we, like, hear about these cases, like, every here and there. So it's like gross, but, like, a lot of people, like, well, at least I can't speak for you guys, but at least as a man, I'm like, oh, man, that sucks. But then I kind of, like, forget about it. But then, like, and like you said, David, like, recently it's been more snowballing, and we've been hearing about it a lot more, which I'm happy about. I'm glad this stuff is getting out in the open so we can, like, course correct from this point. But it's, like, honestly, it's so disgusting, though, that it has been going on for so long. And, like, we only heard about it up until now in just small instances, and then we'd, like, forget about it completely. And so, yeah, I'm happy that, like, the news is finally coming out now. I'm sad that there is this news, though, to come out. It's basically my thing on it.
I would say I'm ashamed to admit that I also didn't look that much into it. Like, I sort of got the headline news alerts and skimmed them and went, that sounds like something that a male executive would do, and didn't just try not to think that much more about it. So it's really depressing, right? Like, it's sort of a terrible state of the world, and it's something that, as a woman going into, hopefully, the television industry, and hopefully very soon, it's something that I don't really want to think about. But that I have to think about, and I'm glad that it has become such a media sort of hurricane that's taken over a little bit, because it's forcing me to confront that, even though it's easier to ignore.
Yeah, for sure. That is probably why we all kind of forget about it, is because it's really easy to be like, oh man, that sucks, but then not say anything after that.
I have found it so interesting that it is the executives behind everything. More often than not. I mean, at the same time, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Screen Junkies. They're an online sort of a movie news site and movie commentary site type deal.
I'm familiar with, like,
they do
the
the honest
YouTube
trailers on
channel they do.
YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Sort of the creator of that site, Andy Signore. He at that same time there was news coming out about him about how he'd harassed several women and several of his employees and stuff. And he was fired much more immediately than I think Weinstein. It's just I don't know why it's so, like, difficult for me to get out these words, because, like, I've thought about them before, but the oh my god, I don't know the right adjective to use. The flagrant, I guess is what I want to say. The flagrant abuse of it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing, especially from an industry that for years has seemed to champion, diversity and equality and protection of the marginalized and stuff like that. They try to elevate people on that. That's what it seems. That's at least what they've tried to project. I've seen. I mean, I hear it all the time from.
Are you talking about film or
film? That's what I mean. Yeah.
I would argue to disagree.
Well, so, like, all right, we'll just talk about it, because I see all the time that they try to put that, especially more in recent years. I
feel like that trend is more recent, though.
Okay, all right. Well, then maybe that's on me, but that's always, like, that's what I always heard about the culture there. Was that it all was or that they always claimed to be so forward thinking with how they acted, what projects they decided to pursue, who they decided to hire for their projects, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
They are, but they say they are, but it lacks, like, actual numbers, and then it lacks, like, intersectionality. So, like,
Rachel, you want to talk about these crazy director numbers that we learned?
Yeah, the crazy director. Like, in 2014, only 4%?
Yeah, only
films?
4% of film directors were women as of 2014.
Was that, like, one woman directed a film? Because I know Ava DuVernay directed a film that year.
In terms of mainstream films, only 4% of the directors in 2014 were women.
Is that more than one, or is that just
That was
literally
6.
like? Okay, that was 6 one. Okay.
6 women.
And in the classical era of Hollywood, there was only one director the whole time, Ida Lupino.
Yeah, Ida Lupino.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, they definitely say they will, or they're, like, championing, or whatever the word you use, like, they're, like, yeah, diverse, like, equality, but, like, the male gaze, if you've ever heard of it, is, like, real, which I've learned, like, I'm just like, oh, the male gaze, you, like, hear that term thrown out, but it's definitely been in Hollywood since basically the classical era.
Yeah, and then Hollywood films are much more likely to champion a white gay man than they ever would be, like, a queer woman of color.
Yeah.
Like, so they're saying
They'll do
they're
like
being-
one, but not like multiple.
They're being forward thinking, but they're just choosing the easiest option that would be most easily accessible. Like,
Yeah. That's a lot of the and Rachel and I definitely like we just learned this and like got like a test on this. Hopefully we passed that test.
All right.
But yeah.
I mean, I think with the Harvey Weinstein, what I find most surprising is I thought it would have, not that it would have come out way earlier, but I thought like the Bill Cosby situation would have been like the perfect opportunity for that stuff to start rolling out, and it's been. What, 2 years since the Bill Cosby stuff?
3 years, I think.
It's been a while.
It was
been a
2014,
while.
right, when he was starting to be
I think
accused.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so
Like-
it's 3 years, I would say.
Like, I just thought like more would come out after that. But now that the Harvey Weinstein has come out, every actor pretty much that has a story is coming out with it, whether it's about Harvey Weinstein or not.
Maybe a lot of that too is because of the like whole like Weinstein was the person to go to if you were a woman.
True, but not just women are coming forward now. There's like
Terry Crews shared a story about he was like,
That
I guess
amazes
harassed
me.
is a better way than like abused during like this weird party where he was with his wife actually. He was like groped by a producer or something like that.
I read that actually. I'd forgotten, but I read that.
Yeah, and
God
then
bless Terry Crews though.
I love him.
what a great
great.
soul it seems like he has. And
If I don't know if you guys ever watched like the like Hot Ones YouTube show.
Yeah.
It's if for those of you who don't know, it's just like they do interviews, but as they do the interview, these people they have on just eat progressively hotter and hotter wings, and like it's pretty entertaining. But like you'll get the one guest that's always like really humble, and like Terry Crews had like a really great interview. He like and it's very telling because they're like sweating and like dying from these really hot wings. So like Terry Crews is a good man. That was a pointless thing. But
no. I think it's we can say we like people that are still in the hall.
Yeah.
I don't think that like these revelations mean we have to automatically start hating film and television. I think it is so interesting that it's now more than ever that people are understanding that there's a culture, a lifestyle there that is totally antithetical to what most people would consider healthy, appropriate living when it comes to sex and sexuality and stuff like that, and a workplace, antithetical to a proper workplace and a proper workspace, despite what people might have been told throughout all these years. I don't really have anywhere to go. So I guess I wanted to carry it on to the further allegations that have come out against several other creators, producers, actors, whatever you want to say, because there have been a lot more. I just read today, 6 women came out against producer Brett Weinstein. What's his name? Brett Ratner.
really, damn.
Yeah, who his company Rat Pack, they've produced several very successful movies, not the least of which are like Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, for example.
Oh wait.
Yeah, he's very heavily Warner Brothers affiliated.
Jesus.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's-
Like every time you're just like, ah, God.
Yeah, he directed the third X-Men movie. So he's been around for a while. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody else take the conversation somewhere. I'm
mean-
starting to just go on tangents.
I mean, and then there's like Kevin Spacey. There was stuff against him. I mean,
Yeah, and it's not just abuse of women, just like
It's-
like with Kevin Spacey,
Yeah.
it's like abuse of children there.
yeah.
And then trying to backpedal it as
Yeah.
now living as a gay man.
That was disgusting, honestly. Like that was a sorry like excuse. Like to
I mean, that's
come
what
out.
also what it comes down to is like, what kind of statement do you issue, like following something like that? Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh, I molested a kid, I'm gay.
I mean, the dialogue I've been hearing around Kevin Spacey has been very interesting because I haven't. Okay, I'll be honest. I haven't listened to any of the LGBTQ people like verbally communicate. I've seen certain tweets from like folks like Wanda Sykes make their comments on it. But what I've been hearing the discussion around is that what Kevin Spacey ultimately did is he could have nearly backpedaled the LGBTQ movement for acceptability and equality 30 years. Because one of the things, I mean, somebody can correct me on this, but one of the original worries about being gay was that ultimately what they were trying to do is convert children by ways of molesting them.
Yeah, that's what the GLAAD community has come out saying, that it was a reverse of that. Because so many people back in, like, a long time ago.
The 80s and stuff.
They would put out informational videos that was basically just like, if you know a gay person, they're probably going to molest your son.
Yeah.
There was a whole campaign called Protect Our Children,
Yeah.
which was run by anti-LGBT groups. And it's a very misleading title, right? Protect Our Children.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their whole thing. It's to hide behind that kind of rhetoric. So, yeah, I mean, I think that the Kevin Spacey thing is really complex and interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's sad, right? it's terrible what he did. It's really bad. And it's also like, I wish that he had been able to come out a long time ago so that it wasn't in this kind of context.
Yeah, because now, if you were a person who's like, oh man, gay people molest children, like, you're definitely gonna be like, see, told you.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, regardless of what he's done, I hope that as a human he'd be able to live openly for who, like, if he does identify as gay, I want him to be able to identify that way. And
I agree.
don't want him to, like, die in the closet, but I also don't want him to come out
But people
in this
have given
context.
him plenty of opportunities to come out as gay. Like,
has.
they've been speculating that Kevin Spacey was gay since the 90s.
Yeah.
It seems like he was very
It's been a
comfortable with the
running
life he was
joke
living.
for a long time, and
Yeah.
in like award shows and things. that he
Yeah,
was making
and
fun of.
I
But
mean,
it's complicated. Like, I don't know why he held on. I don't know why exactly he held on to it until now, and I do know why he used coming out as a sort of deflection to
Right.
change the headlines around himself as kind of a publicity stunt, essentially.
It was very similar to how after Harvey Weinstein, after like almost all the allegations of Harvey Weinstein came out, like he said, I'm going to stop producing Hollywood films. I'm going to go after the NRA. Like he was trying to appeal to that base who he thought would give him a pass because of what he was doing politically in the modern political climate. At least that's.
See, I
don't know. Maybe that's not like equally the same, but that's just like that's kind of what I see. Like you're trying to appeal to that base politically to try and get that pass, so that they don't look down upon you as harshly as they might. Although maybe that's different.
Which, like, yeah, go for the NRA, but don't use it in that way. Yeah.
I mean, I think personally that Kevin Spacey should have just waited a year and then come out if that's what he wanted to do. He only came out because the allegations came out.
I mean, it was definitely a publicity
and
thing
it's just
to change his story around.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I think it was in really poor taste in general. But then, like, what he should have done. I mean, because he was using that as an excuse, and then also the alcohol as an excuse. So he was like just using two excuses. But something that I think the Kevin Spacey situation brought up is just the climate that like child actors are entering in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, here's this 14-year-old kid, and it was normal for him to go to a party with like adults.
In New York City.
Like,
Yeah, like really drunk adults, apparently.
yeah.
That's pretty odd, I would say.
And people were just gonna leave this 14-year-old in Kevin Spacey's apartment?
Yeah.
Like,
Who are their parents?
I don't know. I mean,
Not that, I mean, I would like us to live in a world where we don't have to worry about things like that, right? You know,
Right.
like ideally, we wouldn't have to be like, oh, Kevin Spacey might
You gotta-
do something bad. Like, ideally, we can leave people alone with other people and not anticipate the worst, but at the same time, like,
But yeah, like a
it's-
party, like you got to practice some level of caution.
well, you shouldn't have a 14-year-old at a party.
yeah, kids should not be going to parties.
it's very sort of reflective. Also in Corey Feldman, who I'm sure most people are familiar of. He's restarted his campaign to sort of put the word out there in his own way. He's doing it in a very interesting way where he wants to make his own documentary about it. He's asking for funding for it. He's enough so that he can support himself while he does it, and also pay for a security team while he does it, because he claims that he has a lot of information, enough to bring down an entire major Hollywood studio with these allegations.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Feldman says that he went through a lot of crap as a child actor in Hollywood,
Yeah.
mostly of a sexual abuse nature. But, I mean, he's also a really paranoid person. I remember there was this, he did like a special on like HGTV or something a while ago where they were like redoing his house, and they wouldn't let like the camera crew or anything be filmed having anything to do with his son. He was like really weird about it. He wanted like a like a wall built around his house. He wanted like security cameras everywhere. And by this point, Corey Feldman was not very famous.
Right.
But-
I don't blame him though, honestly.
Yeah, it led to a very paranoid lifestyle.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
If I may, I would like to direct the conversation to like moving forward. Like, I don't know what to do moving forward. It seems like power is always going to be there, and there's always going to be somebody to abuse it. I feel like the culture is already being somewhat changed in these discussions that many people like us are having around the country. I would like to think that. Maybe that's naive of me. But I know, for example, I was raised never to sort of have this mindset to go around and just do willy-nilly what I will with people who are my underlings, as it were.
Yeah.
Were you raised like that, Luke?
Yeah.
You were raised like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, in the sense of at least like not abusing people,
Got it.
especially like sexual abuse. Like my father, especially when I was a kid, was always like, almost every day, he'd be like, you always gotta respect women, you know, you always gotta, like when you settle down, you always gotta put your wife like first, you know, and always treat like women with the utmost respect. I feel like that's helped me try to be like respectful and not fall into like these tropes of not even abuse, just like ignorance, I guess, trying to be respectful where I can be.
Dismissiveness almost to
Yeah.
like women or something.
And I feel like that's really what it comes down to, is like you need to raise your kids in a mindset where you respect women, you respect people of the LGBTQ community, you respect people of color, and you just like be respectful of people who have tolerance, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it comes down to. And also just changing that number of 4% women in the film and just like get more female executives in there, get more people of color there. It's time.
I agree. It's definitely, I think, an issue of how we raise young boys. Just like
Yeah.
from an early age, I think there are a lot of problems. And then I also just sort of bring it to a bigger picture. I don't think it's just the film industry. You know, like, there are low numbers of women executives in pretty much every industry, almost. As far as I know, I couldn't think of one off the top of my head where that's not the case. And this, I can guarantee you, isn't a Hollywood-specific problem. Hollywood has its own issues. I mean, with child actors, that's a very specific thing that you wouldn't get in other industries. But in terms of abuse by executives, that's like, I'm sure across the board, a problem. And it makes a big splash when it's a Hollywood thing because we've heard of these people. And so it makes headlines. You say like, oh, they made a movie I loved that we all watched as kids or something, and it really affects you. But this happens all the time. You know, somebody owns a paper company, I'm sure, is doing this, and nobody's going to hear about it, but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's ubiquitous.
Definitely. I would hope that there are better HR systems set up in an executive office. Because, I mean, I don't know about HR in a Hollywood setting, but it seems like they tend to play it fast and looser over there compared to everywhere else. This is totally me speculating. I'm not speaking with any authority on the subject whatsoever.
I mean, I've never worked in like an executive office building anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about like moving forward, I mean, there's a lot of different places that need to change and a lot of different reactions that need to happen. Like us as people who aren't in the business yet, or even if we were, we wouldn't be very high up to do very much.
Not for 10 years.
It's more of like, what content are we giving money to is also a thing. Like, what movies are we going to go see? What shows are we going to watch? And I know things have come out like the Me Too campaign, that whole thing where women were coming forward with their own like sexual abuse stories, sexual assault stories. I think one of the big problems in Hollywood that I've been seeing when I've read these articles, though, that could change on their level is so many of these actors would go and complain to their managers or their agents about a crappy audition situation, and they would just go, well, that's the business. And to them, that is their HR. Like, they think these are the people I have to go to. These are the people who are supposed to take care of me. and they weren't. Like, I think in a lot of ways they're the ones to blame in this situation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complicity,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there are tons of people that know about these kinds of things and do nothing. And it happens every day on the street, too. Like, you'll see a guy wolf whistle at someone or, like, do some creepy shit on the subway, and people just, they don't want to speak up. They don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
People mind their own business, even
Yeah.
when they shouldn't.
I liked what you were saying about, spending and putting your money where your mouth is almost. Ultimately, that is like how the media industry listens the most. Whatever you put your money into, whatever you put your time into, they're going to respond to that. So
Especially in the case of like Hollywood.
No, absolutely.
Hollywood's all
No,
about that
absolutely.
money.
So now that everyone has, like, for example, gone and seen Get Out, you can bet there's probably a slew of like story, like race thriller scripts that are being written and bought and sold like right now, and you can bet they're looking for more actors of color to star in films. I mean, like, we got Black Panther coming out in a couple months as well.
I'm excited for that.
Wonder Woman is the same way. I mean, Wonder Woman made bank, so you can bet they're rolling out the female superhero movies pretty soon.
And that's also what you don't give money to or give time to. Like,
No, absolutely.
I think
Will-
that's more noticeable. to
Yeah, like,
executives.
will people watch the last season of House of Cards? Like, will they care?
I think they've had a low viewership for a while. in all
Yeah.
I mean,
honesty.
House of Cards is terrible.
I'm not saying I like House of Cards, but it's a question. Like, Netflix doesn't even know if they're going to put out the last season now.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's come time for that.
So many
Yeah, I
people
think-
were uncomfortable with working with Kevin Spacey after the news came out that they had to shut down production.
And now they're talking about spin-off possibilities. But is that worth it? Like, or should they just...
Kill off
cut it
his
out.
character, Two and a Half Men style.
The show was always gearing up, I think, to have Robin Wright take the lead. If I'm
That's
not
what
mistaken.
I understood was going to happen.
Yeah.
but the spin-off they're talking about was actually going to be... What was that guy? He's like the assistant guy with the glasses. Like,
I know
does
who
all
you're
his-
talking about. I
Does
don't
all
know
his
his
dirty
name.
work. That's who the spin-off would
I
be
know what
on.
you're talking about.
Doesn't sound all that interesting, to be honest with you.
I mean, I don't watch. I haven't watched House of Cards since like season 2, and I'm not interested in watching anymore. But I haven't been even before this. But there are some diehard fans out there.
Oh, for sure.
They keep watching it.
It's unfortunate that those fans have to be like, oh man, like I love Kevin Spacey.
There's some Kevin Spacey
Well,
movies I really love.
My opinion might change a little now, but like I always was a Kevin Spacey fan.
It's the same thing with Shakespeare in Love. Like, I know, for example, my dad loves that movie. I don't know if he loves it anymore.
I
honestly.
really liked Shakespeare in Love. It's a good Colin Firth movie.
That has especially because Gwyneth Paltrow came out and like, yeah, I had a pretty shitty time with this dude. Like, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
It's a shit. As I said, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Definitely, with stuff like Get Out and Wonder Woman, and then hearing about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff is moving.
The honest discussions, I think, also help. From every single person. I mean, as far as I've seen, there's not been one like discussion that's been this like, no, I think Harvey Weinstein was in his right to do that. I haven't seen anybody say that. Whether or not to keep face or just because they genuinely like were talking against their beliefs or something. I haven't seen a single. So people are aware that it's a problem and that it needs to be solved. Somebody may have a different perspective. What I would also like to see is, as more and more people come out, if they have experiences that they want to share, I would rather they be detailed than not. Because I remember specifically there was Jennifer Lawrence and Reese Witherspoon. They were coming out and talking about their experiences, which sounded horrific, but they didn't name any names. So ultimately, it was more of that, how you might just glance and say, oh, that's too bad. That really sucks. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's more like the problem doesn't get solved. It's just acknowledging that the problem is there.
Yeah.
Although I don't
People
know if
got to be
that's-
held responsible.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think like Molly Ringwald did the same thing. I think I don't think people who are like past the statute of limitations should really have to give any details.
True.
But if you're within the statute of limitations, then you should be trying to pursue a trial, in my opinion.
Yes.
I would hope. I mean, everybody has to do what's best for them.
True.
But I would hope that people name names just because even if you don't want to pursue any justice for yourself, your testimony could help somebody else who does.
It's very true.
Especially if something happens to you and you don't report it or write anything down, like later on you're kind of setting other people up to be in the same position that you're in, which really sucks because I don't want anybody to be in the position where they have to talk about horrible experiences or to have horrible experiences happen to them. Obviously, they're not to blame for other people's, but at the same time, when you're silent, you're complicit in what happens to other people.
Yeah.
So,
Especially since a lot of them do give graphic details, and then they're just like, but I'm not going to say what movie set this was on. And it's just like, you might as well.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
just told us everything.
Yeah, like
except
what,
for the movie set.
What is the like name like hiding that?
Like, we want to be mad for you.
Yeah. We want to support
we
you.
don't
in
know
this
who to be
endeavor.
mad at.
Yeah.
And then that just leads to more speculation, because then people start to assume what movie it happened on and assume what actor they're talking about.
Yep.
And sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah.
So,
It's definitely not an issue that can necessarily be talked about in 45 minutes or so. It's definitely not an issue that can be.
Have we been gone 45 minutes?
No. It's just like this.
Oh,
This is the
okay.
number I gave.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. This has been a very
It's definitely not an issue that can be solved in one sitting. It is that I'm just trying to acknowledge that right now.
Yeah.
It's like an incremental thing that we just have to keep building on. And I think the honest discussions like these within our smaller communities of like friends and family, and then bringing those discussions out into the larger communities of a college campus or a work environment or a state or a country or something like that. I think we're moving in the right direction, but it's gonna
take time.
it's gonna take time, as it always does. And I'm sorry we can't talk more, but this isn't a discussion that could go on for hours and hours.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we all do have lives we got to sort of return to. But I want to thank everybody for joining us on this discussion, on this special of Nerds of UVM. I want to thank my fellow panelists here for talking with so candidly and so honestly. Really do appreciate you giving your time to sort of delve in with me. Again, for anybody who's dealing with any kind of trauma, if you did stick through, thank you for sticking through. But if you need to reach out to other resources, several numbers will be down below, depending on whatever situation you may need. We will get as many resources as we can for both national resources, local Vermont resources, since that's where we're located. And then if we have any students on campus that are dealing with anything at UVM, we will provide numbers that you can reach out to there as well. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Nerds of UVM. And I'm going to end it off as I always do. Actually, no, I'm not going to end it like that. I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe, stay true to each other, just be kind. Be excellent dudes, I think, is something from what's the movie? Bill and Ted's. Be excellent to each other. And I do hope you have a fantastic day, fantastic week, fantastic month, fantastic year. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.